Welcome to the first of a series of videos on staying safe online and protecting your privacy and security. This first section is about secure passwords. It may seem very basic, but believe me, it's also quite necessary. I had a friend a few years ago who phoned me in a terrible panic because her accounts had been hacked and she couldn't get into any of them. So I said to her, well, did you have a password? She said yes. And I said, I bet I can guess what it was. And she said, well, I bet you can't. So of course I had to rise to the challenge. Now this friend, her favourite drink was brandy, and she talked about it a lot. She also had a dog, which she named after her favourite drink, brandy. So of course the password was a no-brainer. And she thought I was some sort of mystical psychic or something. So she said, how did you do that? I said, well, you're on chat forums all the time, you're on Messenger all the time, talking about your favourite drink and walking the dog and stuff like that. It figures. And she said, well, I was told to make one that I'd remember. I say, yes, but, if you make it too obvious and then talk about your favourite things, then it's like a gift to a hacker. So there's the first thing, is don't make it too obvious. The second point is don't use the same password for every account you have, which is what she did. She had been hacked in her, I think it was a Yahoo account, and it had sort of opened the gate to hack her Facebook and everything basically. So don't do that. It's true that it becomes very hard to remember passwords. I mean, how do we remember them? If we've got an individual password, I think I've got about 50 different logins. How would I remember that? Well, in the early days of the internet, becoming widely used, shall we say, people advised writing them down and keeping them on a separate piece of paper. But again, I say don't do that, because let's put it like this: if you had a state-of-the-art combination safe with all your valuables in it, you wouldn't write the combination down and then stick it next to the safe, would you? So, think of the computer the same way. Don't write it down. So how do we remember? Well, my suggestion is, and this is just a suggestion, my suggestion is use a password manager. So a password manager is a little piece of software. It's like a database with some extra features where you can store all your passwords. What makes a good password manager is initially have a password protect, which you just have to memorize one password to get into it. Then good one has a random password generator, which will allow you to create a password at random using any combination of capitals, lowercase, numbers, symbols, and some sites won't let you use symbols, some insist on symbols. Most of them insist on a password that's longer than 8 letters, or 8 characters rather. So you can create passwords this way. In mine, I usually generate one that's 12 characters, and as long as it's allowed, we'll use a combination of capitals, lowercase, and numbers and symbols. So the random generated passwords are then hidden, which is also quite a good thing. Well, it's vital actually, because I mean, if you do get hacked and someone is seeing what you do on your screen, you know, if they can't see the password, then that's helpful to you. So that's the thing, it's all about making it more difficult for hackers. So what else does a password manager usually have? Well, it has a space for your login, maybe a username, and or an email address. Sometimes they have a space for the site's URL, so you can basically go in, click the URL and copy and paste. That's another important feature, obviously, is copy and paste. You can click on the URL, go into the site, copy and paste the login, email, password, whatever's required. And some password managers will have a comments box, which, you know, sometimes you sign up for sites and after a while you might not remember what they are. Well, you can write there basically any notes you need to make that aren't covered by the fields. You can also use custom fields in a lot of them, and that's quite handy. So that's a password manager, highly recommended. There are a lot available. If you Google password manager, a few will come up, including, you know, sites that recommend the top 10 best. Most are free. Some are free trial and then you pay, but I mean it's a very small amount for the safety. And you know, I think personally it's as essential as a antivirus protection. Don't use Google will save all your passwords if you allow it. That, I mean, that's cloud saving stuff is always a bit risky in my opinion. The only time I've been almost hacked in over 20 years using a computer is when a site that I was registered on was hacked. I then got this sort of fake blackmail email that said they got everything, which, I mean, it was obviously fake because it went through to my spam folder, and if they really had got everything, they'd know how to bypass that, and demanding money, otherwise they'd sort of sell all my information, including my bank details and everything, which, good luck with that. But you know, what I'm saying is I've never been hacked directly on my computer. So password manager, yes, highly recommended. Because I've been using a computer longer than I've been using an Android device, I have separate ones. The one I've got on the computer, it was free and still works and is still very, very good. Ticks all the boxes I've mentioned. The one I've got on the Android, I think I paid about £2 for, so you know, it really is worth it. But nowadays, you know, a lot of them are cross-platform, so you can export and import into the Android version, stuff like that, and presumably the same with iPhone. So yeah, that's the first part of this, and thank you very much for watching. Next section will be on email safety, which is another big thing. Just some do's and don'ts with email. These days most of them are known, but it's worth repeating. So hopefully I'll see you next time.